hello, my name is Andy Tidy and welcome to the NarrowBoat video channel. If this is your first time with us, welcome aboard. As we prepare the quarterly issues of NarrowBoat magazine, we often come across some great archive film footage, which provides context for the articles we publish. But we feel it's a shame to keep this classic material to ourselves. So each month we highlight a selection of internet-based films which we feel that you'll enjoy. We've assembled a database of links to some great material on the videos page of the NarrowBoat website, and you can access all the videos we feature here on that page. A link to the page is included in the description field below and also in the banner of this YouTube channel. And of course, you can find it by simply searching NarrowBoat magazine. We hope that you'll enjoy this month's selection, which were all made during the Second World War, and therefore provide an insight into the last period when our inland waterways represented a credible commercial transport route. Now, assembling a coherent set of archive wartime films represents something of a challenge. During the Second World War, it's safe to say that filmmakers had little time for our inland waterways, apart from making a few propaganda films, showing how the old canals were being pressed back into service to keep the home fires burning. What we have instead is something of a collage of insights, which, when taken together, give us a good idea about life afloat during this difficult era. The film I really wanted to bring to you as an opener is Painted Boats, made by Ealing Studios in 1945. A film which isn't readily available in its full 1-hour format on the internet. This film is something of a rarity because it's made to a very high standard and it captures life afloat against a backdrop of conscription.
Hold on, you damn fool! You lie we stand up! Don't you know no better than that? I'm the Canal service decide for you aboard! You damn monkey!
How do, Mary? How you keeping?
Hiya, Ted. We're for Leicester Cut, coal at Langley Mill. Where you for?
Birmingham and Stoke, us.
All you're doing is churning up the mud and knocking down the back.
If you find a way to access this wartime classic, it will be an hour of your time that is very well spent. So in the absence of a link to Painted Boats, I'd like to open with a link to CRT's War on the Waterways, presented by Nigel Crowe, which unpicked how the infrastructure of our inland waterways network was going to be used as part of the nation's national defence strategy.
Canals played a vital role as transport routes in both world wars, supplying goods to towns and cities and raw materials to factories that were operating as part of Britain's war effort. Boatmen were under orders to keep their cargoes hidden under wraps and to douse lights after dark, which made navigation hazardous.
Well, this film is recent, but the subject it covers provides an illuminating backdrop to the UK's wartime inland waterways network.
In 1940 to 41, an inland anti-invasion landscape was created, mainly across southern and eastern England, but extending into the northeast as well. This defence in depth was designed to protect major towns and industrial heartlands, and it consisted of a series of heavily defended anti-tank stop lines.
Well, it will come as no great surprise to learn that Pathé News didn't make a film about the nation's stop lines and how our thin ribbons of water could or couldn't provide a measure of protection against a concerted land-based invasion. Some things are best left out of the public domain. The second clip I want to show you is called Corned by Canal, an unabashed wartime propaganda film made by Pathé News at the outbreak of the war in 1940. It shows how life goes on as normal and how the canals play their part in getting vital food to the nation.
continuous passage is made possible by the locks, which transfer the vessels from one level of water to another. In this case, the lock is filled by the opening of the upper gates, and the barge rises slowly to the new level.
And if that wasn't explicit enough, here is Pathé's much more between the eyes Canals to Help the War effort from 1941, which highlights the role that the canals could play during a time of conflict.
As man's ingenuity grew, he conceived the idea of making artificial waterways to link up with other towns and rivers in every part of the country. Many of our early canals were made from the Roman ditches, but it was the Duke of Bridgewater who first devised a scheme popularizing their use. With the help of James Brindley, a brilliant engineer who could neither read nor write, canals were constructed which connected the Humber, Thames, Severn and Mersey. At this point, the canal branches off from the tidal river, and these large seagoing barges, too big for the canals.
For our next selection, we're travelling back a couple of years to 1943, when the Central Canal Committee commissioned this 16-minute documentary to highlight the scope of Britain's inland waterways, and in particular the activities of the larger ship canals, with the smaller inland canals acting as feeders. I bring you Barging Along.
Strolling down the wharf, we see that other goods are being unloaded from boats. The clanking of cranes and the shouts from the foremen tell us that the canals are busy again delivering the goods. Soon the holds are empty, but without a pause they are filled with new cargoes. The merchants of Birmingham, Leeds and Manchester must not be kept waiting for their goods in these days. And within a few hours the barges are ready to set off on another trip. Crafts start their journey, chugging along the winding waterway.
Oddly, Her Majesty's Stationery Office instructed that all copies of this film be destroyed in 1948. But one copy survived in the offices of the Manchester Ship Canal, probably because the film devoted a lot of time to their waterway. And this one version survives in the Northwest Film Archive. And I don't really think that we can leave this wartime period without some mention of the Idle Women, the nickname given to the initiative to crew the inland waterways boats with volunteer female crews. Fill in the gaps left behind by the conscription of the men. This 10-minute film, 3 Girls in a Boat, was issued by the Ministry of Information in 1945 as part of its Workers on the Warfront series. Whilst the entire video is interesting, it's the first 4 minutes which will interest canal enthusiasts, as it follows the progress of a 3-girl cruise south from the Midlands, carrying a 50-ton load of coal.
Transport of coal from the Midlands to factories in the south has given some British women a unique wartime job. Meet a typical crew. Betty, blonde and one-time bank clerk, is the skipper. Mary, a peacetime hairdresser, is the mate. Frankie, well, she's the crew. The main boat is driven by an 18-horsepower diesel engine. That engine can give a speed of 5 miles an hour, and the girls have been trained to deal with their own maintenance and repairs on the way. It's an early morning start away from the Midlands. The main boat tows a trailer, or butty as it's called. Together, the 2 boats can carry 50 tons of coal each trip.
It's been interesting to take a look at the canals in wartime, and I look forward to seeing you again next month when we feature another selection of archive videos which can be found on the internet. So till then, goodbye and happy watching.